You know, the funny thing about the dating world is that it gets weird before it even starts. A lot of times we bring in these expectations or bad habits into a relationship before we even get a girl's number. So today we're talking about the fear factor of dating and how that can sometimes get us to make some bad habits. I want you to learn what those habits are and how to avoid them so that you can have the best relationship possible. Let's talk about that on the show. Hey guys, I'm Reese Maxwell from Thriving Man, and today we're talking about the importance of not being afraid of women. Don't be afraid of women. It's funny, there's this trope in anime and in a lot of movies and shows of the guy friend. The guy that has hung around the girl and he's always kind of liked her, but he's never been able to actually get that out. He's never been able to say that. Usually in the movies and shows, it doesn't work out for him. Usually the girl does not end up with him and he does not get his happily ever after. Why could he never cross that line for the however many years it was before the movie or show started? It's usually because he was intimidated. There was this fear going into it and he could never quite face it. And that's a real fear. Let's be honest. Putting yourself out there to a girl, especially a girl that you really, really like, is intimidating. It's scary. It always has been scary. That's why people like send their friend to tell a girl that they like her or vice versa. You know, everybody like will send a message. Do you like me? Check yes or no when you're in grade school. It's a scary prospect. But just because it's intimidating doesn't mean it has to cause us to fall into bad habits. Usually when we're scared, when we are afraid of approaching the girl, we fall into one of two bad habits. The first is avoidance. The first bad habit we can tend to fall into is avoidance. Don't avoid the girl you like. A lot of times we get into this space where we're like, I don't really know what to do when I'm around her. It makes me feel kind of uncomfortable because I like her, but I don't know if she likes me. So I'm just not going to talk to her that much. That's crazy. You need to know if that girl, that's crazy. You need to know if that girl is somebody that you actually like, and you can only find that out by hanging around them. That's why avoidance can be self-defeating. You don't want to spend a ton of time in your own mind wondering, well, how does she feel? And how do I feel? And how do we feel about each other? It gets into a weird place. But the only way to get out of your mind is to get into reality. The only way to get out of your mind is to get into reality. And that means that you've got to hang out with the girl. You've got to actually be around her. And you've got to be okay with that. The second reason that avoidance is bad is because it makes your life inconvenient. It's almost like she's this lion and you're this gazelle and you're trying to kind of avoid her because you're scared and you don't like the way you feel around her because it makes you feel slightly uncomfortable. And that's just kind of a weird energy that you're going to be putting off is like, ooh, this girl, I like her, but I don't know if she likes me back. So every time she walks in the room, I'm just going to walk out. That's going to be a little self-defeating right there. The third reason that avoidance is bad is it can also give kind of a weird approach when you finally do work up the courage to ask her out. If you have never even talked with this girl before, you like the way she looks, you like the way she's around her friends, but you haven't actually had a conversation with her. And then all of a sudden you walk up to her, no kind of repertoire built, no kind of relationship beforehand, and are like, can I have your number? That's kind of odd. That's going to freak her out a little bit. Unless she is just the kindest soul on the planet, she's probably going to be like, yes, and then give you a fake number. We don't want to fall into that trap. So push through that avoidance mentality and actually get to spend some time with her. Because when you do, you're going to become more comfortable around her, which will enable you to actually have that conversation. Number 2, the second bad habit is obsessing over the girl. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. I went to a Bible college in college, and the relationship world there was very odd. People had this sense of dating perfectionism that, oh, once I go out with a girl, we got to get married. And so a lot of this obsession habit would happen. So before they would even ask a girl out, they will have already in their mind built up this thing to where it's just blown out of proportion. You don't want to spend too much time in your own mind. And that's something that I'm going to reiterate not only throughout this video, but throughout this series on relationships. When you don't actually spend time with the person and you spend time just thinking about the person, it blows everything up out of proportion like it did for my friends in college. Think of something that stresses you out, something that maybe was hanging over your head, a school project, or maybe something at work. If you just sat there and thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, would you feel better about it after that long session of thinking about it, or worse? You'd feel worse because what you focus on grows in your mind. And so if you focus on this girl a ton, a lot of times it's almost like you're going into like a poker game and you're all in and she hasn't even put a chip down. It's like you've invested so much into this and she doesn't even know about it. Obsessing can end up setting yourself up for failure because you've got like your whole life riding on this where she doesn't even know who you are really. Like, you don't want to get to this point where like you're going to ask for her number for the first time and like mentally you've already planned what you want your kids' names to be. That's weird. Don't do that. That's odd. And ultimately, that's what leads people into very unhealthy patterns. Like, I think stalkers take this to an extreme. They have deluded themselves and thought so much in their mind about this person that they're stalking. They've convinced themselves that person likes them, even if they're like, I don't like you. So don't be weird. Don't follow a girl around. And don't mentally feed that weirdness. Don't obsess over it so much that it turns into something that it doesn't need to be. The final reason that obsessing over a girl can really trip you up is it gives you some weird blinders for reality. It's like these glasses, except it makes everything look worse instead of better. Think about it like this. So my dad was part of this group where there was a guy who had some pretty big problems, and he's driving and stops at a red light. He looks to the right, and there's a girl at that same red light that he found pretty attractive. She looks his way, and they just kind of make eye contact for a second, and then she starts driving. Well, in his mind, this dude had convinced himself, oh, she wants me. She's leading me to a place for us to go throw down. And so he follows her. And they go and drive a little while, and then he follows her right into the police station because she was freaked out. This random dude was following her. This dude in his own mind had convinced himself, this girl wants me bad. She wants me bad, man. And she didn't feel that way at all. Now, that's a very extreme example, but that's a real example. And that's something that we don't want to take that kind of mentality, but we'll do that if we obsess over the girl so much that we delude ourselves. So you don't want to avoid the girl. You don't want to obsess over the girl. Those are two reactions to the intimidation of a relationship that are both unhealthy. If you do feel fear, you've got a girl you like, you just want to approach her, realize that being intimidated is normal. Everyone feels that way. There's a reason that it's in movies and shows. There's a reason that people, when you were a kid, you sent notes. It can be scary, but you can navigate that well. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about how to do that. Some tips for being able to ask a girl out in a way that's not weird or odd. But I feel like this video is kind of getting all that other stuff out of the way. Like, hey, we don't want to be stuck in avoidance mentality. We don't want to be stuck in obsession mentality. So it sets up the groundwork for us to start a relationship off on the right foot, because good mental habits up front lead to good mental habits throughout the relationship. I hope this video helped you. Share it with someone that you think it'll help or equip to live life well. And I want to remind you that if you want to succeed in the areas that really matter in life, my dad and I have built a company called Thriving Man. You can go to thrivingman.com, check out those resources, and I'll see you in the next video.